Hey everybody, it's Neil from WineExpedition.com on a beautiful Saturday morning here in Napa Valley, California. I'm at the Quintessa Winery with Charles Thomas, the winemaker. How are you, Charles?
How are you, Neil?
Today we're going to talk about Faust. Faust is another label of the Quintessa family. Tell us about Faust.
Well, Augustin planted the vineyard back in 1989, 1990, and had told himself he was just going to make one wine from the Quintessa property, and that was Quintessa. And so over the years, we had sold fruit to other people and just simply sold off the wine that we didn't use in Quintessa.
The wine of fruit that wasn't worthy or wasn't...
Yeah, that didn't fit stylistically
right.
into Quintessa. We'd either sell the grapes or sell the wine off. And when we started to build the winery for the 2002 vintage, Augustin and his son were talking about this, and I think somebody basically said, Augustin Jr. said, you know, Dad, there's a pretty good wine there that we could make from the fruit that we're not using for Quintessa. And Augustin thought about it and did the math, so to speak, and realized that that was certainly true. And he said, you know, it feels like I'm making a deal with the devil because I promised I'd never make another wine from this property besides Quintessa. Right. At which point the story goes, what'll we call this? Oh, Faust. I think Augustin is a fan of opera and a reader and a deep thinker, and I think there's a lot of layers to the Faustian legend. Part of it is an old man doing something that only a young man should do, so regaining his youth to start a wine brand in his late 60s. So you
heard it here. Part of winemaking is making a deal with the devil. That's what we're hearing. I get it now.
Well, it's a hell of a wine.
And the Faust label... that comes from some of the fruit here. Yeah, there's also fruit, maybe.
The genesis of the Faust program was fruit from this vineyard. In some cases, fruit that was maybe a little bit too full and didn't have quite the elegance, because Faust is more of a classic Napa-style Cabernet. Right. It's got plenty of finesse, but not as much as Quintessa, for instance. And so over time, as the brand has expanded, and we've outgrown the relatively small sourcing that we have at Quintessa, we have started to buy fruit from other vineyards. I'm buying fruit from Stagecoach Vineyard, from Andy Beckstoffer, and from other terrific growers in the valley.
All here in Napa Valley?
All here in Napa Valley.
So the fruit is that a fair statement that the fruit is still from Napa Valley?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a vineyard in the what will eventually become the Coombsville AVA, just east of the city of Napa. So we're getting Coombsville fruit also. I was looking at a vineyard up on Mount Veeder yesterday for Faust. So it's a serious project that really stands on its own, that now in these the current vintages has a small portion of its fruit coming from the Quintessa property in Rutherford.
And by the way, I mean, I've had the wine. It's a beautiful Cabernet, and it's not like it's a $5 wine. I mean, it's a respectable, beautiful Cabernet that still has carries a price tag that needs to be respected. I mean, it's
California, it's a $50 retail bottle of wine, and my job as winemaker is to make sure there's great value in that. Right. And after all, it's getting the same luxurious treatment as the grapes that come into this same winery for Quintessa. So we're doing everything on the winemaking side the same as we would for Quintessa, just for a wine with a different style and a different price.
Well, you've got a 2005 and a 2006 here, like we did with Quintessa earlier. We're going to get to do a side-by-side tasting, which is the tough part of my job. Sometimes you just have to go to work. So this is the 2005.
06 also.
And we've established that both 05 and 06 were good years here in Napa.
Very good, yeah. And stylistically slightly different, and we'll see how those differences play out in the Faust today.
Okay. It's a really cool label, by the way.
It is. It's a heart-shaped crown of thorns kind of thing. Somebody had fun with it.
Apparently so. Okay, so the 05, we'll start with that. Again, I'm getting I'm getting a lot of the red fruit, and has that bright note that I don't know what it is, but it's a very bright, sort of vibrant color in my mind.
Yeah, this is a wine, as I say, it's more of a classic Napa Cabernet style, so it's going to jump out of the glass at you pretty quickly. You'll get a big fruit hit up front in the mouth, and it's got plenty of complexity and finish, but it's not something that's that where I'm focusing on that. I'm looking for something that's giving you that big Cabernet statement.
It's not an heavy-handed oak bomb either. I mean, it really is about the fruits still. And what I would say Faust is, like you said, it's not maybe as elegant as the Quintessa, but it's still, you've chosen to really showcase the fruit more than anything else here. I mean, that's what I'm getting. I'm not getting heavy-handedness or oakiness or
Yeah, no, this is about about a third new oak, and the rest of it is once used Quintessa barrels, and that's a pretty good balance for this wine.
Barrels that have seen the Quintessa fruit for generations get to make the Faust.
Yeah.
It's a very nice wine.
And it's got, I guess, there's a certain subtlety and nuance that just comes from the characteristics of the 2005 vintage. That's the way 2005 was. So even if you weren't trying to make a subtle wine, you're going to have a certain amount of subtlety anyway. But really nice upfront fruit and great intensity.
Fantastic. And now the 06.
Yeah.
Similar nose.
Similar nose, maybe sort of a sweeter, ripe, more prominent fruit, and parts of that, just the difference in age between the wines. But part of it's, again, the characteristics of the vintage. Big, lush hit up front, which is what we want with Faust, but proceeds nicely through the mouth.
Yeah, this was almost like a bigger hit in my face of fruit, just like somebody punched me in the face with a big cherry berry. I mean, and not that this wasn't big at all, but this was almost like the initial burst was just really focused.
We talked about a bit earlier, the 2006 vintage, there was some warmth in late July and early August that gave us denser, thicker grape skins and a little bit smaller berries, and you're getting a little bit more punch in 06 than in 05. And for Faust, yeah, that's a fun thing.
Yeah. I have to say, as much as I appreciate the architecture and the beautiful natural lit tasting room we're in, I can see myself sitting up on that vista, looking down on the property, having a glass of this and contemplating the Faust story.
Indeed.
But again, a lovely wine, and I think the story here is that Faust is a wine that stands on its own. It's part of the Quintessa family, but it's not like it's a second label or anything like that. It's just it's a choice to make another kind of wine here at Quintessa.
Yeah. We're serious about it, and it's a wine that we feel can certainly stand on its own, and that's generally how we present it. We make no secret of the connection, but yeah, it's definitely a wine that can hold its own anywhere.
There you have it from Charles Thomas, the winemaker at Faust. Cheers, Charles. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.